Welcome back to This Week in Agribusiness. It's no surprise that over the past several years, the protein markets have been on a wild ride. That's been true in the United States, but it's also true globally. The U.S. Meat Export Federation tracks U.S. red meat exports around the world, and joining us now is President and CEO Dan Halstrom with a recent update for the data. Dan, thanks for taking the time to talk with us.
My pleasure, Mike. Anytime.
As we look out at the international scene, Dan, it really seems as if U.S. pork exports remain a true bright spot in the export industry. Can you fill us in? What has pork been doing in 2024?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I think the momentum that we had in late 2023 on pork demand globally continues into the early part of this year. January and February stats so far year to date, we're up 10% off on volume and up 10% on the record value of last year. And it's the beauty of it is it's really broad-based growth. I mean, the gold standard has been Mexico. They had a phenomenal year last year, and they continue on those same trends for this year. But it doesn't stay just with Mexico. Central America. You look at Colombia, phenomenal first 2 months of 2024. So the Latin American segment in general is hitting on all cylinders, be it retail, be it food service, be it convenience store sector. So yeah, we're pretty excited about that. The thing that's really a little different on the positive side in the first 2 months of this year versus late last year is we're starting to see some life out of Asia on pork. And Korea had a phenomenal February, up almost 70%, and looking good for the first part of the year. Taiwan is having a phenomenal start to the year. And Japan, while not up big, the numbers are respectable compared to where we were last year. So yeah, I think the broad-based growth theme and the demand for U.S. pork globally in some of these key markets is going to continue as well.
That's good to hear, Dan. From a price perspective, is American pork still competitively priced compared to our global pork competitors?
We definitely are. You know, we're averaging February came in at a little over $62 per head, you know, for per animal slaughtered attributable to exports. I would say that some of our key competitors globally, i.e. the European Union, for example, they're starting to see their prices skyrocket as their supplies go down. And this is a structural shift that's made us even more competitive. Now we do have other competitors getting on the scene in a bigger way, Brazil in particular, throughout Latin America, for example. But needless to say, our quality, our reputation, our established relationships around the world, we're very well positioned, not only against our pork competitors globally, but against some of the other proteins globally as well, you know, chicken and beef. So, you know, I think that in general, you know, pork is set up pretty well as we look into the latter part of, further into 2024.
Well, that's good to hear for those American pork producers. Dan, let's turn our focus over to the cattle market and beef exports. Record prices domestically last year in the cattle market. I assume that's putting a crimp on exports.
Well, not necessarily. You know, the problem we have is we know production is down, right? Because of the cattle cycle. So the fact that production is down and our exports for the first 2 months are just down a percentage, 0.5% or something, just slightly down, but the value is up 10%. So to me, that tells me that demand is still pretty darn solid, despite the price levels. And we're seeing this across the board. It's not only the markets you might think of, like a Korea, for example, paying the price, and they are. But you got Mexico, you got places like Guatemala that continue to buy as the markets go up or down, but they follow the trend of the market. And I'm not saying that price isn't important, it is. But the first question we're getting from most of these countries on the beef side is not, why is the price so high? The question is, when will I be able to get more supply? And they're very well, these buyers are very well educated. They know about the cattle cycle. They know that it takes time to retain heifers and rebuild. And I think it's a pretty good sign when that's the first question. And the second question is, okay, you don't have enough supply of short plates. What other products can we talk about using? And this is the opportunity that we're really capturing right now, is we're talking about some of the more underutilized cuts, be it the round primal. What can we do with knuckles or outside round flats to fill my void? Or beef variety meats, for example. $44 a head in February was attributable to variety meats out of our total of $413 a head. So this is another growing segment that is timely given the situation on the supply.
Absolutely, Dan. And of course, USMEF tracks all of these issues. And here in May, you'll be having your spring conference to discuss them in detail. Can you give us the details? The where and the when is the USMEF spring conference?
Yeah, we will be in Kansas City, Missouri, the third, right before Memorial Day, so towards the end of May. And it's always, actually, it'll probably be a record attendance. We tend to get very big numbers when we're in the Midwest, especially when we're in Kansas City. So we're definitely looking forward to that in just a few weeks' time.
It's coming up, folks. Check that out. Learn more on the U.S. Meat Export Federation's website. Our thanks to Dan Halstrom for joining us this week. Leave it here. More This Week in Agribusiness coming up.